And we're going. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, as always, for coming out. It's great to have you. So tell me, how many of you are applying the things that we've been talking about? Very good. So for those of you in our television audience, that was most of the people here. Tell me, have you been seeing any results? Are you seeing any changes? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? Uh-huh. Yes, yes, yes. Very good. Very good. Okay. Got quite the circus act going on there, brushing those teeth. That's right. That's right. Very good. So it is. It's not very loud. Would you go get another battery? Do you know where they are under my thing? Okay. So very good. So little housekeeping things. This is our second to the last workshop. So next week we'll do body composition, and then 2 weeks after that, tentatively, we'll know for sure next week, of course, but tentatively after that, 2 weeks, we'll do our assessments again. That should be the week, 2 weeks after Roadie Days, which, what, puts us at Memorial Day weekend? No, maybe a week. Anyway, well, there's a lot going on. Anyway, so, yeah, we're kind of winding up here, and we hope that you're starting to see some gains, and you're starting to benefit from these added activities. Okay, give me just a sec here. Sorry. All right, there. That's better. Okay. So today, we're talking about flexibility, and all of the things that we talk about are interconnected. I mean, one's connected to the other. So last week we talked about balance. The week before we talked about agility. Those, of course, were very closely connected. Flexibility is also very closely connected to those, meaning that if you're lacking in one, that it affects the others. And so we want to improve all of these things. Flexibility, just as the name suggests, is the ability to move your joints through their natural range of motion. Okay, if you're hyper flexible, if you can move too much, then that obviously is a problem. But just being able to do the things that you like to do without being too stoved up in the process. If your muscles are really tight, if they're chronically tight, reacting quickly is more challenging because your muscles are tight. They're resisting that movement. And so the purpose of flexibility is to improve your ability to move. It helps reduce muscle soreness. It helps reduce your chance for injury. It helps reduce your chance for falling. Janessa wrote here, it increases circulation, helps relieve muscle tension, and so forth. So lots of benefits. The cool thing about flexibility is that you can do this really anywhere. I mean, you don't have to be in a special place, and you don't have to be wearing a special outfit to benefit from doing flexibility out or exercises. And I mean, while you're standing in line, you can stretch your shoulders. We'll go over some of those in a more specific way. All right, some of the guidelines. You want to make sure that when you stretch that you are warmed up. You remember in the old days in PE class that you went out, well, I asked this question yesterday. How many of you, when you went to PE class, had to wear a special outfit? It was so everyone. And Janessa doesn't even know what we're talking about. Back in the day, when I was in junior high, the girls had a little jumpsuit that they wore. And it was not the most flattering thing, certainly, but they wore it faithfully because you got in trouble if you didn't. But back in the old days, You went out and you lined up in your lines and columns, and everything had to be psh, 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 and then you started your stretching. You did your windmills and your toe touches and your jumping jacks and all that stuff. Turns out that that probably wasn't the smartest thing, because your muscles like to be warm when you stretch. And so to stretch first, your muscles haven't had a chance to warm up. Now granted, at school you've been walking around and carrying on and so forth, and so your muscles are probably a little bit warm, but it would have been better to maybe jog a few laps and then start to stretch, because your body likes to be warm. Now, how can you warm up? Certainly with exercise. Exercise warms you from the inside. So, you know, that furnace, you get your metabolism burning, and then that just heats up your whole body. When your muscles are warm, they're more flexible, and that's the time to stretch. You could also warm your body by taking a hot shower. The difference, though, is that the hot shower warms you from the outside and may not penetrate as deeply as we want. So your skin is warm, but are your muscles warm? So the perfect would be to do jumping jacks in the shower. Not really. Scratch that from the record. Swim in the hot tub, yes. You get the point, yes. Same with the hot tub, it warms from the outside, and so unless you're spending quite a bit of time in there, it may not get down to the core. Okay, it may not get down to the belly of the muscle, but the idea, stretch when you're warm, okay? Okay, when you're stretching, you want to hold for about 30 seconds, okay? So the stretch, so typically when we stretch, I'm going to sit down here for a sec, when we stretch, a lot of times, well, particularly like if you get up in the morning and you've slept wrong, or, you know, you've been watching TV and you fall asleep like this, and you wake up and you're like, oh gosh, my neck is so stiff. And so we're like, oh, I just got to loosen that thing up. Your neck, especially your neck and spine, hate that, because what happens in your body, you are wired, you have these little sensors in your muscles that sense stretch. And when those are activated, so when I won't really quick, that sensor, its natural reaction, it's a reflex action, so you don't have any conscious control over it, is to tighten. So when you wake up in the morning with that stiff neck and you're like, oh, I got to loosen that up, you're just making it worse, okay, in the long run. And so you want to be very deliberate in how you stretch. So in the case of your neck, you're going to hold it for 30 seconds and let it relax. Now, going back to those little sensors, when you stretch them, it takes about 15 seconds for those to stop firing. Okay, so when I'm stretching, stretch, the reflex is saying contract, 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 and it does that to protect the muscle. Okay, and then finally it says, okay, everything's okay, and so it starts to let go after about 15 seconds. We're going to test this here in a little bit in a different muscle group. So you hold it and let that finally relax, and that's where you're getting your benefit. And then when you transition very slowly. The reason you transition slowly is to try to avoid activating those sensors. Okay, so very slowly, and then you just roll forward, just trying to stay underneath the radar of those they're called proprioceptors. Meaning they're sensing movement. Okay, so you hold each stretch for about 30 seconds. Okay, you want to stretch. On here it says about 10 minutes twice a week, but if you can do that more often, please do. Stretching is something that you can do every day. It's not going to hurt your body. In theory, you could overstretch. I've never met anyone who's done that, but in theory, you could. Don't let that be, if you're just constantly stretching, you said to be hyper flexible, and that isn't good, but consistent, regular stretching, the more you stretch, the more results you'll see, okay? But at least twice a week for about 10 minutes. Okay, when you're stretching, you don't bounce. Okay, and remember, again, going back to the old days in PE when we were doing our bend, you know, you're bouncing like this. Is that what you all did in your schools? And your muscles hate that because, again, going back, when you stretch, your muscles tighten. That's the natural reaction. So as you're bouncing on it, your muscle just going to get tighter, get tighter, get tighter, get tighter. And so the net effect is zero, maybe even damaging. Okay, so when you're stretching, you're going to hold, and we don't particularly like this bend over stretch here, but if you're going to do it, you hold it and let those muscles relax. Okay? Any questions about that? Okay? Then the last thing is if, and this applies particularly if you have a soreness in, you know, one muscle or another. So let's say that you you did something yesterday in the yard. No, got a perfect example. When we were in Utah a couple weeks ago, played racquetball with our kids, and I haven't played racquetball for a long time. The next day I woke up and my shoulder was sore from swinging the racket, and for, you know, just those hard backhands and forehands and crushing my opponent. Yeah, we lost, but that's beside the point. That doesn't matter. I don't know. Were we keeping score? Anyway, my arm was sore, and so the tendency that would be to say, oh, I got my shoulder, and so I'm just going to stretch that out, okay, because that's the one that's bugging me, and I ignore the one that's not. Not good. If you stretch one, stretch the other, okay? The imbalance is what causes injury. So the reason I'm sore on just the right is because I was only using my right hand. And that's an imbalance, and so I'm putting more strain here than I am here. But it's the same with the stretch. If I'm going to stretch the right, stretch the left, okay? Does that make sense? Okay, and that applies, of course, to all parts of your muscle. And it's very common when you're stretching to have one side tighter than the other. I mean, that's just the way we're built. You know, just that happens. All right, so let's go through some of the stretches. We're going to start at the top and then work our way down. As we go, we're going to talk about a principle called P and F stretching. We'll do that when we get to the hamstrings, but we'll just something for you to look forward to with great anticipation. Okay, so when we're talking about the neck, so you're going to sit up tall, and let's go ahead and join me for this one. We're not going to hold it for 30 seconds, but we'll go through the motion. So very slowly, you're going to take, well, first of all, let's take a nice breath in, up. So just inhale and then exhale down and relax your shoulders and just feel kind of the tension melt out of your shoulders. And now take your right ear slowly down and just hold that, and you're going to feel that stretch on the left side of your neck. And just hold it there. Keep your shoulders relaxed. So you're taking your ear to your shoulder, not your shoulder to your ear. Does that make sense? Okay. So you'd hold that for 30 seconds, just letting all those proprioceptors relax and stop firing. Okay, and then slowly you're going to keep your ear down and then just roll your chin into your chest. Now, Maria, who attends our chair class, can attest that we do this every class at the end of the class. And then slowly roll down to center and press your chin to your chest. You feel that more in the back of your neck. And now from here, slowly keeping your chin close, take your left ear down. So now you feel that kind of on the back right side of your neck. And now slowly take that left ear down to the shoulder so that you feel that on the right side of your neck. And just hold it there. And now slowly roll back to center. And then take a nice breath in, up, and lift your chin again slowly up. And relax down. Okay? So that's the tempo. Again, we didn't hold it quite long enough, but that's the tempo that you want to do your stretching, okay? All right. The next one are the shoulders, and we've already kind of demonstrated. You can join here again. So just reach up and pull that across, and you should feel that stretching in that shoulder. Do you feel it there? Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, so, and that was an oversight on my part. We should have talked about warming up first, because that is one of our principles. Okay, and relax. Okay, so let that hang. So to warm up your shoulders, you're just going to roll, okay? And then as you start to warm up, why open that up a little bit more. Okay, and then, if you want, you can even open that even more. And shoulders are, do I need to separate you two? Okay. Shoulders are very commonly sore and injured, and then reverse direction. Okay, yeah, you're a little cramped for space there. That's all right. Okay, so that sort of movement is to help warm those shoulders up. And then, of course, we need to do that other side. So again, just nice, tentative movement. You're not screaming through it. You're just savoring this moment, okay, and just relax. Feel that stretch through your shoulder. Okay? This you can do anywhere, right? There's no limit. Yeah, can you brush your teeth? Yeah, and do that with that automatic toothbrush. That should be okay. And that vibration will help too. And stand on one foot. Yeah. Okay, and then relax. Okay, the hamstrings, of course, are the back of your thigh. Hamstrings are often tight, and this is one where you see a lot of imbalance. Okay, if I curl my toes back, well, let's go ahead and do that first. So if I curl my toes back, now, not to repeat the last mistake, I'm assuming that I'm warmed up. Okay, so I've been walking, I've been up and around, so forth. The fact that you came in today and you walked in, and so that might be enough. You might do a little bit more before you stretch, but let's say that that's enough. So if I curl my toes back, you're going to feel that stretch in your calf. Okay? Do you feel it right now? Okay? Now, if I point my toes away, now I'm taking the calf muscles out of it, and I can lean forward. Okay, so you're just going to lean forward. And we're going to do a little experiment here. So this is where we're going to do this PNF. PNF stands for proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. In order to pass this class, you will need to know that. Okay, so you're going to reach forward and just find a place, a little mark. You can scratch your foot if you want as to mark, or shoelace, whatever. Just leave a mark. Okay, now while you're stretching, I want you to tighten your thigh. So tighten that thigh. Tight, tight, tight. And then relax. And then see if you can reach a little bit farther. You should have gained a little bit of reach. Did you? Okay, let's hold that second spot and now tighten your thigh again. And it's uncomfortable. Tight, tight, and then relax and see if you've gained a little bit more. Okay, so what we're doing is we're using our body's reflexes in our benefit. So when I tighten this muscle, the reflex is goes up to your spine and comes back and says you need to, or tells your body to relax the opposite muscle. So I'm tightening here, the opposite muscle is the hamstring, and so squeeze, the nerve's saying relax, relax, relax. And so it does, and that allows you to stretch. You can do that for 10 or 20 minutes and just see how flexible you can become. And you do that enough, and it certainly makes a difference. Okay, that's called yeah, that's right. You will that's right. So you will gain flexibility by using that PNF method. The hamstrings, it's really easy. That's the easiest place to see that. Where you're tightening and relaxing, tightening and relaxing. Okay? So that would be the hamstring stretch, and of course we would do both sides. Okay? So start with your calf stretch. Just draw those toes back. Feel that in your calf. Okay? Again, hold it for 30 seconds. We won't today, and then point your toes away, and then just lean down over that extended leg. Okay? And then you can do your PNF again if you want. Tighten that thigh, relax, deepen the stretch, and tighten and so forth. Okay? No, I'm glad you asked that. The question was you don't tighten for 30 seconds. You tighten for about 5. And then reach and hold for about 20 and then do it again. If you're gonna do that, you hold it. Yeah. Okay? Good. Any questions about that? Okay, good times to do that. If you sit down and watch TV, if you have a lazy boy or you have an ottoman or whatever, get that foot up there and just lean down over that foot. Lean down over that leg. If you're sitting at the dinner table, just prop it up on the chair next to you, or prop it up on the table if you want. I mean, whatever. Okay, and then just lean forward and work on that hamstring flexibility. You can really, all the time, do those stretches. Okay, the next one are hands and ankles. Ankles, it's just this general movement of the ankle, so it's a little bit different. The ankle is full of connective tissue. I mean, that's really what forms the ankle. Lots of ligaments, lots of tendons, lots of connective tissue. Okay, so you're just going to work that all the way around. Okay. They're like in physical therapy, sometimes they'll have you put your feet on a towel and you gather the towel with your feet like that, just working your ankles. You can also work your toes that way, but it's just keeping that moving. And in your ankle, that's really what you're after, is just keeping that movement as much as it can. Again, it's not a super mobile joint. When you think about it, you don't really want your ankle to be super mobile. You don't want your knees to be super mobile, because if they were able to do all sorts of fun movement, we would lose a ton of stability. And we need these joints to be pretty strong and stable. Okay, so the ankle, again, it's just that movement. This you can do anywhere. I mean, while you're waiting in line, while you're at the traffic light, whatever, just keep your feet going. Okay, and then hands, we do this in our chair class a lot, but you're going to open your fingers up as far as they can. Now, I will share with you what bugs me about this is that your middle finger doesn't stretch, because if you move it to one side, then it closes that gap, and if you move it, and so it's just this conundrum that the poor middle finger never really gets to go one way or the other. It just has to hold its spot there in the middle. Anyway, does anyone care? You shouldn't, because there's nothing we can do about it. That's my thing. But it's just, I do that, I'm like, there it is again. Okay, but open those hands up as far as you can, really stretching. your hands are full of muscles. I mean, all of this dexterity in your fingers is due to the muscles in your hands and, of course, in your forearms as well. So there's lots and lots going on here. Okay, and then you squeeze and make a fist as hard as you can. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And then extend out again. Out, 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 and then squeeze in. Okay, and then out. Okay, so you'll repeat that several times. Okay, any questions about hands? Pretty straightforward, but just really try to open those up. That's great for arthritis. Okay, if you have joint issues there, just really work on your flexibility. Just open those up. Even if you don't have arthritis, still just practice that. Okay, let's go to the back now. So this is for your low back. You're going to just turn so your feet are pointing straight ahead and you just turn to one side. Again, this is one that we do frequently in our chair class. Okay, so you just press yourself into that turn. Okay, and you should feel that in your low back. Yes? Okay. And then slowly, we didn't hold it for 30 seconds. Normally we would. Slowly come back. Okay, and then now we're going to turn to the other side. With your spine, your movements have to be slow and deliberate. Your spine, because it's such a vital part of the function of your body, your body is very protective of your spine. And so if you overstretch or you do something quickly, if you sneeze sometimes, and maybe you've had that happen, it's like, oh, your back will seize on you, because it's protecting the spine. It doesn't want something untoward to happen to your spine. So the movements are very slow and very deliberate. Okay, and then when you're done, come back to center. Just let it unwind. Okay, so that's one. I'm going to show you another one on the floor here. This is my personal favorite stretch. Actually, you know what? I'm going to lie this way. So I lie down. If I need a pillow, I'll support my head with a pillow. Okay. My knees are bent. I'm going to keep my shoulders flat on the ground. And then I just let my knees fall to one side. Again, very slowly. And I just hold that. And this just feels really good. You can extend your arms out to the sides. That also feels really good. Hold that, hold that. Good. And then slowly come up to center. And then, of course, you'll do the other side. I like to pause here and let everything just kind of balance out, and then slowly go to the other side. This is one where you will definitely feel an imbalance. You'll feel like, okay, yeah, the right side was a lot tighter than the left, and that's very common. And then just hold that. If I stop talking for longer than 5 seconds, someone just come over and nudge me, please. It's just, Jim, oh yeah, okay. And then back up slowly to center. Okay, while I'm here, show you the chest stretch. I'm going to bring my hands behind my head and neck, and then I just press my elbows to the floor. Okay, and you just press and hold, and I feel that stretch right across my chest and shoulders. Okay? And if I want to deepen that stretch, I'm going to take a big breath in, up, fill my lungs, keeping my my elbows down, and then exhale. Good. And do that again, big breath, up. And just pressing your elbows to the floor. When you get up and down from your back, you always turn to your side and come up. Okay? Don't sit straight up. One other thing, Janessa pointed this out yesterday, and just it's not directly related to stretching, but still a nice little tip. If you're having back issues, the best position that you can get in is you'll need a pillow for a little bit of spine, but is to get your legs up and then scoot your rear right up against the chair, the sofa, whatever it is you're lying on or lying against, and then just lie back here. This offers complete support for your back, so your back can fully rest in this position. There's no, all the curves are supported, and so you can just fully rest here. Now I have my hands behind my head to form a pillow. If you have a pillow, then you can just rest with your arms across your chest if you want, or whatever's comfortable. Okay? But if you ever have a tired or sore back, then go ahead and get in that position. You don't want to stay in that forever, because the circulation does get a little bad in your legs if you stay there too long. Okay? Any questions? All right. While I'm down here, so we've done calves. We did that when we did our hamstrings. We just showed you the chest. And then the groin stretch is just doing the old butterfly stretch. Okay, so you're here, bring your feet together, pull up on your toes, and then push down with your knees. Okay, now if we're going to do a P&F stretch, so again, P&F, we tighten the opposite muscles. So in this case, I want to push out with my elbows and push in with my legs. So my legs are trying to pinch, my elbows are holding out. And so I'm working against myself. 4, 3, 2, 1, and then relax. And see if you gain a little bit more. Okay? Then you could repeat that if you wanted. Okay? Good. Any questions there? Yes. You know what? That is an excellent question. The question is, what would we recommend in relation to the back in terms of choice of seating? Unfortunately, well, first of all, an easy chair that has the legs that kick up and all that is probably the worst thing for your back. So anytime you're sitting in a chair and you have this unsupported, it's hard on your back, because gravity is pulling my spine down and my body's trying to resist that, and so that's going to cause strain for your back. That applies to the car. Remember, that used to be the selling point of cars, was to have all this sprawling legroom, and it turns out that's really hard on your back. It's better for your back to be upright in that uncomfortable, so just everything is supported here, and your legs are pretty square. When we put our legs out, that also puts a strain on your back. So you have to, bring your legs in and get them up. So this, if you're driving like this, you're pretty tight to the steering wheel, which, the argument against that is that if the airbag goes off, that you're in pretty close quarters, and that wouldn't be bad, or that wouldn't be good. But the idea is just to support all the curves of your spine. So you look at your seating and see, okay, how am I doing with that? You don't want your knees lower than your hips, if that makes sense. So like right here, my knees are a little bit higher than my hips relative to the ground, okay? So that's going to help reduce the curve in my spine, so this is going to be good. But as soon as I come back here, my back's unsupported, and I've got a problem. Okay? That's why when you sit on a stool, that's hard on your back over time, because your knees are lower than your hips. And so it just puts that curve, it accentuates the curve in your lumbar spine. Does that make sense? Those are general rules to look at. But So the stability balls are really good if you sit up tall. I find when I'm sitting on those, I tend to do this, because you do get tired, but stability ball is really good if you can really work on your posture. And if you really work on your posture, then they're fantastic. Okay, so yeah. Yeah, so Mari says she puts a pillow behind her back wherever she sits, and that's great. So what I would encourage with that is, and this is a little off flexibility, but that's fine, is if you put that pillow every once in a while, so take a mental picture of how your back is, take the pillow out and hold that posture without the pillow. So now your body is having to get stronger to hold your spine, and then when you get tired, you put the pillow back. Does that make sense? So you're not using the pillow as a crutch all the time. Yes.
With back pain, that's why the functional strength exercises that we gave you are so important. We gave you the supported row. That's going to help strengthen your upper back in between your shoulder blades, which will help with posture and help with that back pain. Also, for lower back pain, core is extremely important as well to help keep you up and great posture. So if you're experiencing back pain, make sure not only to watch your posture, but make sure that you're doing those exercises to help you gain that strength that you need in order to have your back in the right position.
Yeah, thank you. Something to try while we're on this topic. If you like say you're driving and you notice that your back is getting tired or sore, see if you can tighten your abs and pull that pain out using your muscles. So it's like, okay, this is really getting tired. Okay, sit up tall and find that point where your back doesn't hurt anymore because your posture has improved. And then just hold and practice that. And if you're like me, I hold it for a couple of minutes and then I'm thinking about something else and and you have to readjust. And it's just kind of this, all the way to Eugene, just remembering. Okay. Any questions about any of those stretches? Those will be in your videos that we're sending out in that folder. So check there if you need review. Okay. We just want to cover one other thing. It's called myofascial release, and or rolling. And so I'll tell you a little anecdote. So this is a foam roller here, and then this is an example of a ball that you can use to roll. If you have a rolling pin at home, that works too. A tennis ball or something, or a baseball would be good if you happen to have a baseball that's firm, but a what? A golf? Oh, yeah. Okay, but anything that's firm that you can really dig into your muscles with. But let me just tell you a little anecdote. So at the NFL Combine, which is where they're testing athletes that are potential NFL players, they had these guys run a 40-meter or 40-yard dash, and they said, okay, what was their time? They recorded it. Then they put them on this rolling regimen where they were rolling their muscles, and so it wasn't this, but the principle was they rolled the muscles, and what they're doing is they're breaking the adhesions that develop in between your muscle and the connective tissue that bundles your muscle. So they're just rolling, and when it's done well, it hurts like crazy. It's pretty painful. It's one of those pains though that you're like, ah, oh, that feels good. Yeah. So they rolled their calves, they rolled their feet, they rolled their shins, they rolled their hamstrings, they rolled their quads. they rolled through their IT band here on the outside of their thigh. Anyway, so they did all this thorough rolling all through. Took, about 20 minutes. So it's kind of painstaking in the full sense of that word. Anyway, they had them run again, and their speed increased by like 15% just by doing that, because it loosened up the muscle, gave it a little more, made it a little more supple. And so there is benefit to it. I mean, especially if you want to go into the NFL. But no, it does help with movement. And so it's best if you do it, if you're going to do it all the time. And if you're going to do it, I would get some help to learn how. Okay? And it works better if you have someone do it for you. Not on themselves, but on you. Okay? And yeah, that's right. Hey, would you roll out for me, please? Yes. So the foam roller, the way this works is, I will show you. You can do it like this, where you lie on top of it, and then you just roll up and down. So this is actually for the IT band. So you don't want to roll directly on your IT band, so you roll in front of it and behind it. Okay? Then you can also do a hamstring roll and a calf roll on this. So a calf, you just be here and you just roll out. So this does the same thing. The only problem with this is that there's not quite enough weight on, so I'm not, the only thing touching are my hands and my calf, and I'm just going to roll it out, and I will tell you that is uncomfortable. I can feel like right there's an adhesion, because it hurts. And it's like, oh gosh. Okay, and then I'm just going to hold it for, was it 15 seconds, Janess? 30 seconds. And then I'm just going to roll through it again, and oh man, okay, and I'm not faking. It hurts. So I'm putting my weight, so my calf is kind of bearing the weight of my body, and so I just roll through. Okay, and then for a hamstring, I just scoot it up and do that same thing. This is good. It hurts my shoulders a little bit when I'm doing it, so if someone does it for me, so like sometimes at home when things get really slow, Janessa will break out the rolling pin and say, okay, flip over, and so she'll start rolling that, and you hear moaning and groaning and screaming. And she has this, she has a big grin on her face the whole time. Yes. Oh, yeah, go ahead. You can do this, and this is not the best. You could use, like, again, if you had a golf ball, a baseball, or whatever, you can roll your chest, certainly. Okay, you can roll this, you can roll your back. Of course, that's a little bit harder, but yeah, any muscle group you can roll. You probably don't want to do that. Probably 5 minutes per muscle group, so it takes a while, and it is something that you definitely practice and you work at, because you're not going to break everything loose the first go. No, you want to be. Oh, yeah, the question was, could you not use this method to help warm the muscle up? And no. This is an intense form of stretching. And so you'd want your muscles to be just really nice and supple when you did it. So your muscles are contained in connective tissue bundles. So every muscle has it's in a sac. And that sac is called the myofascia. And the myofascia actually will adhere to the muscle itself. And so that adhering or adhesion starts to bind the muscle, and it slows it down. It makes it so it's not as efficient. So by rolling, what you're doing is you're breaking those adhesions free. Same idea. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's lots of products on the market that do this sort of thing. There's tools. There's a company called Trigger Point that sells a whole array of different tools that you can use if you want to get into rolling. So, okay, and it hurts. Have we done a good job selling that? Yeah, yeah, that's right. Any other questions, comments? All right, very good. Thank you so much for coming. We'll see you next week for our last session, and then we'll do our evaluation a couple weeks after that. Yeah, if you didn't check in, please check out.